how's it going today? This is David at Amp Gear, and I just wanted to do a video today that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and I just hadn't gotten around to it, and just kind of talk about how did I get started with synth, with controllers, with Ableton, but it doesn't have to be Ableton. It really could be whatever DAW it is that you like to use. And I just want to share about what was the very first thing, what caught my interest, how I got started, what I didn't know, what things I found to be very important, which things I found to be not at all important. And so if you're interested in that, let's dive in. So one of the first things is, I think it's important to understand where my background is, and maybe you can see how you fit into that as well. I started off as a drummer. I drummed for quite a while. Started in on guitar. I like to kind of overlearn things sometimes, I think, and so that started into fixing and taking apart guitars, and that got into fixing and taking apart tube amps, and I just like really interested in how things work, signal flow. Even back when I first started playing drums, it was everything about every cymbal from every manufacturer and their lines and the content of the metal in the bronze. I mean, I'm just kind of a gear nerd, and so that was my background and how I started, where I was coming from when I got into it. So I did know some music theory. I definitely understood about signal flow and how to make things work. I had really no production experience in that at that time. I maybe had recorded some stuff in Audacity, but no, this is back really when digital was just coming on the scene, and so plenty of people were still using Tascam, cassette tape recording 4 tracks, and so the digital stuff was quite expensive, so you had to be pretty serious if you wanted to get into it, whether it was with a digital standalone DAW or whether it was with a computer-based DAW. And so it took me quite a while before the price kind of came down, and it kind of came to a place where I said I was interested in that. So really at the time, just coming purely from a music making standpoint. So I just want to share, kind of what piqued my interest in synth. I really was not a big fan of like 80s kind of big synth, sweeps and stuff like that. It didn't really catch my attention as much, but what I did love was sounds that really sound like stuff is breaking. In guitar, I love a big muff, fuzz, and just a really over-the-top breaking apart fuzz. And so when I started hearing dubstep and synth sounds like that, and growls, and just really distorted, broken up, sub-bass, fat sounds, I just started to say, I really want to be able to make some sounds like that. And because I had come from drumming background, I started more and more seeing finger drumming and kind of these big off the wall to drum sounds, and just I kind of felt like I knew how to be creative if I had the tools to make that sound. And so I would go to Guitar Center, and I honestly even today don't know whatever pad instrument they might have had in it, and they had it plugged into an amp, and I just started hitting pads and making a beat. And I was just like, this is so awesome. I had been telling my wife I wanted to get into it, and actually that day I ended up buying, while I was there, an M Audio Axiom 25 key controller. It was kind of a off-the-shelf open box, and so that was my very first controller. I knew it was going to be a steep learning curve, but I just said, I'm ready to dive in. And so that's exactly what I did. So I brought that controller home and I just started getting the sounds, registering it with M Audio and just seeing what it came with for free. It should have come with an Ableton Live Lite license, but I didn't know any better. It was open box, it didn't come with it, and I didn't really have a DAW of preference or anything, or even how Ableton worked. And if I would have known Live Lite doesn't come with any synth sounds, even though there's tons of or no soft instruments except sampler, which I'm definitely going to be showing in another video. There is tons of usable sounds in the box, but at that time I just had no idea how to use them, how to use Ableton, never mind how to use Simpler. And so the sounds that I got were kind of these air instruments, which were okay, but not at all the sounds that I was looking to make. Nothing huge and fat and broken sounding. It was more simple and polite and clean, and not bad, but not the sounds I was looking to make. So that took me down a huge learning curve, and I started down the road of learning synthesis and learning how to use soft synths and how to get them working on my computer and things like that. So when I got started, I had a lot of questions that you might have if you're just getting started. I just find there's so many tutorials on how to use your chosen piece of hardware. If you get a launch key MIDI, or if you get a launch pad or some other type of controller, or even if you just use on your computer keyboard, you can use the keys on your computer keyboard to make sounds with in Ableton. So whatever you do, you can find videos on how to learn that piece of hardware. You can find videos on how to get started with Ableton. You can find so many videos available. But for me, if you're just coming from a complete ignorant point of view and you don't even know what video to look up, I just felt like that was what was missing on YouTube right now. And I found myself asking, did I need a Mac? You probably see just about every producer out there, or some people playing soft synths, are using a Mac. And so for me, that answer was no. I'm running kind of a moderately priced Ryzen CPU laptop that's been working great for me. I would say that for most people that are just starting out and you're going to be running one or two instruments, whether you want to play live or whether you want to do a simple 2, 3, 4, 5 track setup, then you're going to be able to do that with just about any computer you have. Audio interfaces, I've got a nice Focusrite unit now. Universal Audio makes some top of the line units, but Behringer makes tons of inexpensive little units. I mean, this one is kind of an upgrade from my very first one, which I do have one around here, but this Behringer UCA 202, man, I used this as my interface for a long time. I still use it for a lot of things. I use it to get audio into my phone. I use it when I only need output. I just need headphones. I don't need to put anything into it. And I mean, I think right now on Sweetwater you can pick these things up for 19 bucks. So I'm a big fan of being able to do things inexpensively. Sometimes inexpensive means you got to do a little bit more legwork. Behringer does not release any dedicated ASIO drivers for them, which I will talk more about that later. So really, what I was into, if I'm honest, I just wanted to be able to have fun. I saw videos of people bebopping on pad controllers, pressing a couple buttons, changing sounds, laying down their beat, laying down their bass line. And then I got these things and I just found it wasn't as simple as that. I mean, when I bought my first M Audio Axiom, it had 8 or 16 pads. They weren't RGB, they were just black. They were functional. And so 25 keyboard keys and pads and knobs. And I was just totally picturing, you know, laying down a drum beat on the pads, switching right to a bass sound, playing that, and just looping it and just jamming with myself, then maybe playing guitar over that. Are those things possible? Yes, they are. Is it super fun? Yes, it is. Is it completely plug and play, plug it in, you've got drum sounds on your pads and thick, fat bass sounds on your keys? It's just no. You have to do some setup in order to get yourself there. So expect to have a learning curve. I think that's the biggest thing. It looks so simple when you see a Novation demo or an Akai demo, and you know, I think when people pick up a guitar, they expect to have to learn their chords and how to use it and how to use effects if you're playing electric, and what type of amp and settings to use, or the same thing with piano or really any other instrument. But I think there's a little bit of I don't think it's outright deception, but it just looks so easy to play a pad controller, and it can be, but it's still expect to take the same amount of time to learn to play synth, to use pad controllers, in all this awesome technology that's available. Expect to put some time into it. The more time you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, and ultimately the most fun you're going to be able to have, because of understanding what you're doing, understand how to fix a problem if you run into it, and you know, just be able to get the absolute max benefit of all the sounds that are out there. So I hope this has helped you understand where I'm coming from, helped you to maybe see some of the questions that you might have, and what things that you might run into. I'm going to try to get out some videos on how to run an inexpensive Behringer or other audio interface, and what things you might have to do. You know, another thing, I thought I would just be able to plug into my headphone jack of my laptop, and it's just a PC. If you're running with an Apple, you might be able to do that. Excuse me. But with a PC, you're gonna get fart sounds coming out of it. It's not gonna be pretty. The computer just doesn't have the good enough audio drivers, unless you have a dedicated sound card in your PC. But most stock PCs are not gonna have adequate sound drivers to give you the sounds that your computer's playing. It just can't process them fast enough to hear what they actually sound like, and so it just comes out sounding very staticky and broken and not at all usable. So, you know, talk more about those things, and really hope to set you on a path of creating and enjoying music and having fun with your controllers, and it opens up an absolute expanse of sounds that is just mind-boggling. So thanks so much. If you found this at all helpful, appreciate it as always. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.